what are the different properties of amino acids? Okay, which is again a important exam point of question. So we'll be discussing under 4 headings. What are the different physical properties of any amino acid, optical activity, the isoelectric property and the ampholyte nature of a amino acid, and what are the different chemical properties of this amino acids. So in this class we'll be learning the properties of the amino acids. We have seen how is the amino acids classified. Now we'll be seeing how their properties are. First, physical property. Routinely all amino acids are colorless in nature. They are crystalline, soluble in water, and polar solvents also. Like for example, some of the amino acids which are polar amino acids, so they dissolve easily in the water. The amino acids which are non-polar in nature, so they will dissolve in non-polar solvents like alcohol. Okay, so some amino acids can be soluble in water, some can be soluble in the alcohol, and insoluble in some of the non-polar solvents like for example benzene. Okay, and they have a high melting point, that is more than 200 degrees Celsius. Next, optical property. What do you understand by optical property? Whether the uh, amino acid has any characteristic interaction with the polarized light. Okay, when you allow the polarized light to travel across the liquid, which is a single amino acid. Like for example, you have added in one is example like alanine, and in one more is glycine. So whether this molecule or the amino acid is capable enough to divert this light, polarized light into any direction. Okay, it can be to the right or to the left. Means, does it have any interaction with the light? Optical property. Okay, either they can divert the light to left or to the right. Normally, it is mainly because of a symmetric carbon atom. Okay, the optical activity of amino acid is only specifically because of asymmetric carbon atom. When you call asymmetric carbon atom, when all the 4 valencies of the carbon are satisfied by different group, like here it is carboxy group, here it is hydrogen, here it is amino group, and this R is other than the hydrogen. Okay, other than the hydrogen, then it is understood that this carbon atom is asymmetric. Means there is no symmetry. All the 4 valencies or all the 4 positions on the carbon are occupied by the different 4 molecules. But when it comes to uh, the glycine, the R is replaced by hydrogen, right? So there is symmetricity here. Means in glycine there is no asymmetric carbon atom at all, or the chiral center. Okay, or the chiral atom. So what is happening here? This is one of the example where it is optically inactive. Okay, in the exam also they'll ask you name some optically inactive amino acids. So glycine is one of the example for optically inactive because it doesn't have the asymmetric carbon atom, because the 2 positions of the carbon are replaced by the only hydrogen molecule. Other than that, remaining all are having L and D form. Okay, whether it rotates the light to left or to the right. So most of the amino acids are L amino acids, which are present in almost all the organisms. Okay, including the humans, most of the organisms will have the L form. Only a few of the antibiotics have been prepared in the D amino acid form, like D penicillin, etc. But otherwise, most of them are L form. Okay, L form is the most naturally occurring amino acid, and also it is alpha amino acid. Okay, L type of alpha amino acids are the most common type. Okay, next characteristics we'll see. Ampholyte and isoelectric pH. How is this occurring is, the normally amino acids have ionizing property. Like for example, if you see in the structure, you have carboxy group, it can ionize, it can bind to H or it can dissociate the H. NH3, it can add to only NH2 or it can have the NH3 plus. So the amino acids exist an ionizing property because of the two functional group which are present over them. That is the amino group and the carboxy group. Because of this, what is being additional is they act as an acid and also they can act as a base. Yes, acid means like for example, COO can donate the H plus ion plus H plus, right? So it becomes an acid. NH2 can bind with the H plus ion and become NH3. So accepting an acid, so it can become the base. Or sometimes what happens, like for example, in the alkaline medium, H plus is donated to the OH minus. It is neutralized to water. So these two functional groups can be ionized, and because of this characteristics, it can act as once as an acid, once as a base, depending on the environment. They show some buffering capacity. What do you understand by buffer is? Buffer is any substance or the solvent which resists the change in pH. Resist the change in pH of any solution. So the amino acids also act as an important buffering capacity. Okay, so because of this nature, the presence of the two functional group, amino and carboxy group, which can be ionized easily depending on the environment, whether it is acidic solution or a basic solution, the amino acid can donate the H plus ion or accept the H plus ion. So by that property, it resists the change in pH. So it resists the change in pH, so it acts as a buffer or buffering capacity. So as I mentioned, the amino acids exist as ampholyte, or they are also called as Zwitter ions. Okay, the term Zwitter ion is a 3-mark question. You should be able to write what is a Zwitter ion. Okay, Zwitter ion is under particular pH. Okay, under particular pH, what is happening here is, if you can see here in the picture, this Zwitter ion, you are having both the charges at same time. You have negative charge on the carboxy end, positive charge on the amino end. So what is this happening here? At particular pH, the amino acid is electrically neutral because positive negative they cancel each other, so they are electrically neutral at some particular pH. Now you reduce the pH, you make it to acidic portion. Okay, you are making it more acidic. What happens? The carboxy end will accept this acid to neutralize the acid, correct? Because we also know the amino acids can act as buffer. By accepting the hydrogen molecules, it tries to maintain the normal pH. So now what is happening to this amino acid? It is carrying only single charge, that is cation, the positive charge of the amino acid in the low pH. Now see on the other side. Okay, here Zwitter ion is there. Now you add OH minus, means base. Now you are adding or increasing the pH. Okay, you all know pH. If you increase pH, it is alkalosis. If you reduce the pH, then it is acidosis or acidic pH. So in alkalosis, there is either less H plus ions or more hydroxyl OH minus ions, hydroxyl ions. So what is this hydroxyl ion doing? It will take one hydrogen from this. Okay, from this Zwitter state, it is accepting one and convert it into water. So now what is happening? There is no charge. Plus charge is removed. Now what is left is anionic charge, negative charge over the amino acid. So what do you understand by this? At particular pH, the amino acid carry equal number of positive and equal number of negative charges. That is called as Zwitter ion. and the pH at which, yes, the pH at which it is in the zwitterion state is called as isoelectric pH. Like for example, it can be like 6. At 6 pH, amino acid carry both positive and negative charge. You reduce the pH, make it to 4. It carries only positive charge. You increase the pH to 8. What is happening? It is carrying only one charge, that is negative charge. So at particular pH, it carries both equal number of positive and equal number of negative charge, that is called as zwitterion state, and the pH at which this is occurring, yes, at pH amino acid is existing in zwitterion state is called as isoelectric pH. You reduce the pH, it becomes cation. You increase the pH, it becomes an anion, either by accepting the hydrogen or accepting the hydroxyl ion. Okay, I hope this is clear. Isoelectric pH is an important 3-mark question. They'll ask in the exam. So it is the pH at which the molecule carries equal number of positive and negative charges. So what becomes to the net charge of the amino acid is nil. There is no net charge over the amino acid because positive and negative cancel each other. So amino acid is electrically neutral in nature. Okay, it is neutral in nature. So they'll ask you in the exam for 3 mark, what are the properties of amino acid at this isoelectric pH? What happens to the amino acid at isoelectric pH? 1, it carries no net charge. Why? Because it carries both equal number of positive and negative charge. So they cancel each other. So there is no net charge of this. So when they are also found as ionized state, that is COH can be COO minus and plus hydrogen molecule, or it can have the NH2 plus hydrogen molecule. So they can be found in ionized form. Second, because they are electrically neutral, what happens if you allow this amino acid to be subjected to electricity? Like you have electrodes, positive and negative charge. Yes. What happens? Will you see any mobility of this amino acid?
No.
Yes. Why no? Because they are electrically neutral. Technically, they carry no charge, so they cannot move from a negative to positive node. But if it was like, for example, negative charge molecule, what happens when you connect to the electrodes? It starts moving or migrating from negative node to the positive node. But because they are electrically neutral, at the isoelectric pH, amino acids are electrically neutral, so they do not show any mobility when you subject them to the electrical field. Then they have less solubility. Yes, what you understand by less solubility is when you allow these amino acids to dissolve in some solvent. For example, you have taken water, you have put the amino acid in this. Because they are electrically neutral, what happens? These amino acids normally, what is solubility? Solubility will be there when the important molecule, like for example, amino acid interact with the water molecule. Yes, when it interacts with the water molecule, then only the subject or the molecule becomes soluble. Right? It's like it is accepting as one of its. The water molecules are accepting the molecule as one of its and make them dissolve in the substance. But when it stops talking to the water molecule, because it is electrically neutral, it cannot talk with the water molecule. So what is happening? It is dissociated. It is not mingling with the water molecule. So it is not mingling. What happens to it? It is boycotted by water. So it is having less solubility, low solubility. If it is less soluble, what happens? It will precipitate. Yes, if it is a low soluble, then obviously it will precipitate as a individual substance. So low solubility and high precipitability at this pH. Okay, at this isoelectric pH, because it carries no charge, they are electrically neutral, and also because of no charge and electrically neutral, they have less interaction with the soluble part, that is the solution or the solvent. It has less interaction, hence it has low solubility and high precipitability. Also, they have low buffering capacity. Okay, because of this characteristics, they also have the low buffering capacity because it is already excluded from the solvent. Yes, it is precipitated at bottom. So what do you expect this amino acid to act as buffer? No, unless it is dissolved in the solvent, it cannot act as a buffer. So no buffering capacity. So in the exam, when they ask you for 3-mark question, you should be able to write these points. That is, carry no net charge, they are in ionized form, and they are having no mobility when they are subjected to electrical field. They have less solubility or low solubility, lower buffering capacity, and high precipitability. They can easily be precipitated. Okay, amino acid can easily be separated or precipitated in the tube or any container. Okay, so these are the properties of amino acid at isoelectric pH. Next, we'll see some of the chemical reactions. Okay, some of the chemical reactions. We have seen physical properties, we have seen optical property, and also we have seen the isoelectric and ampholyte property. Now we'll see what are some chemical reactions which amino acids routinely undergo. These also you can expect as 3-mark question or a short answer question in the exam. Okay, you should be writing what is it and when does it occur. Okay, one such is decarboxylation reaction. Okay, the name itself is telling D is removal, carboxyl is COO, that is the COOH group, correct? So the COO group is removed from the amino acid, decarboxylation reaction. That is, undergoes alpha decarboxylation reaction because it is attached to the first carbon or the alpha carbon. So removal of this is called as decarboxylation reaction. CO means nothing but CO2. It is removed as carbon dioxide. Okay, the carboxyl group is removed from the amino acid by the reaction called as decarboxylation reaction, and the carboxyl group COO is removed as a carbon dioxide. Okay, you can see here one amino acid undergoing the decarboxylation reaction to form corresponding amine. What is left is only amine group, and the carboxyl group is completely removed as carbon dioxide, which will be excreted through your lungs. Correct? It will be excreted through your lungs as carbon dioxide. So examples, some of the amino acids like histidine undergoes decarboxylation reaction to synthesize its amine, respective amine, that is the histamine. Histidine is converted to histamine with removal of carbon dioxide. Tyrosine is converted to tyramine by decarboxylation, removal of the carbon dioxide. The compound is called as tyramine, that is the corresponding amine. Glutamic acid undergoes decarboxylation reaction to synthesize the gamma amino butyric acid or GABA. Okay, in the exam you should be able to write these examples. Okay, the decarboxylation reaction is nothing but removal of the carboxyl group from the amino acid to synthesize the respective or corresponding amines. Example, you can quote these 3 examples: histidine, tyrosine, and glutamic acid. Histidine is converted to histamine by removal of the carbon dioxide. Tyrosine is converted to tyramine by removal of the carbon dioxide, and glutamic acid is converted to GABA by removal of the carbon dioxide. Okay, this is about the decarboxylation reaction, removal of the carbon dioxide from this molecule. Next important type of reactions is called as transamination reaction. Okay, please remember, trans means transfer. Amino group is transferred. Okay, the reaction name itself tells you that there is transfer of amino group. Amino is nitrogen group. Previously decarboxylation means removal of the carbon dioxide. Here it is transamination reaction, means you are transferring the amino group from one. Okay, you can see here the alpha amino group. Alpha amino group means the amine which is attached to the alpha carbon only. Okay, the amino group attached to alpha carbon atom. Yes, alpha amino group of one amino acid transferred to a molecule called as alpha keto acid to form corresponding new amino acid and new alpha keto acid. That is called as transamination reaction. This will be asked in an exam as a definition. So if we see the structure, you can easily correlate. Okay, what is happening here? This is one amino acid. That is the glutamate. Okay, this is one alpha keto acid. Keto means when you have C double bond O is called as keto group. Yes, COH is called as aldehyde group, which you learn in very basic of your carbohydrates also. Aldehyde group is COH, keto group is C double bond O. So what is happening here, if you see in the structure also, one amino acid is transferring its amino group to a keto acid. Yes, this is one amino acid, this is one keto acid. So amino group NH3 is transferred from one amino acid to a keto acid to synthesize a new amino acid. This is the second new amino acid and a new keto acid. Last time I have mentioned essential amino acids can be converted to non-essential amino acids. Correct? Non-essential amino acids. How? This is the most important reaction by which it can be converted from essential to non-essential amino acids. Glutamic acid, it's an essential amino acid. Alanine, non-essential amino acid. In the body, the glutamate can be converted to alanine. So alanine is supplied to the body by in its own respective reactions. So that is the reason why some of the amino acids are called as non-essential, because they can be synthesized in body from the essential amino acids which you are taking in diet. Okay, which you are taking in diet, these essential amino acids can be converted to non-essential amino acids by one of this reaction, that is the transamination reactions. That is the amino group, the alpha amino group. Yes, this is the alpha carbon to which amino and carboxyl both are attached. So alpha amino group is transferred from one amino acid to a alpha keto acid. Why this is alpha? Because the carboxyl group is attached here, keto group is here. Two functional groups are on same carbon. So the alpha amino group is transferred from one alpha amino acid to alpha keto acid to synthesize a new amino acid and a new keto acid. Yes, here you can see keto group. So it is the second keto acid. This is the second alpha amino acid which is synthesized is alanine. Glutamate is converted to alanine by one of this reaction, transamination reaction. So in the exam they'll ask you transamination reaction as a 3-mark question. So you should be able to write the definition. What is it? The alpha amino group of amino acid can be transferred to alpha keto acid to form a corresponding new amino acid and a new alpha keto acid. And this is important for the interconversion of amino acids for synthesis of non-essential amino acids, which can be synthesized in the body itself. Okay, that's why they are called as non-essential. Essential ones are the ones which need to be given in your diet. Okay, you have to provide through your diet all these essential amino acids. Okay, I hope this is clear. What is transamination reaction? There is one more set of reactions called as deamination reaction. Previous was transfer. Here you are removing completely, right? As in the case of decarboxylation reactions, you are removing the COO. Here you are removing the NH2. Okay, amino group is removed. Deamination reaction. What is happening? The alpha amino group is removed from the amino acid to form corresponding keto acid and ammonia. Okay, NH2 is released as the ammonia here. That is deamination reaction. And glutamic acid is the most common amino acid which undergoes this kind of reaction, that is a deamination reaction. Okay, deamination reaction. Like for example, if you see in the previous structure also. Here it is completely removed. Okay, the glutamate will deaminate. It removes the ammonia group to form a keto acid. Okay, you don't see the below one. If you see only above portion, the glutamic acid or the glutamate is deaminated. It is removing the amino group to form a keto acid, alpha keto acid plus ammonia. Okay, that is called as deamination reaction. But what is normally occurring is the transamination reaction and deamination reaction, they occur together. They are occurring in different places. Okay, deamination reaction most commonly occurs in the liver. This can occur anywhere. Transamination reaction. So these both are actually coupled reactions. That's why these two are together called as trans deamination reaction. Okay, they are called as trans deamination reaction. They are physically occurring very distinct. Okay, physically these both reactions are occurring at two different places. Like for example, here it is occurring transamination reaction. Here it is occurring the deamination reaction. Physically they are far from each other, but by reaction wise they are coupled, because whatever is getting transaminated is also getting deaminated. Okay, whatever amino acid is getting transaminated, it is also getting deaminated reaction. So that is the reason why they are called as trans deamination reaction. Okay, trans deamination reaction, where both are physically distinct, physically far, but they are coupled reactions. Trans deamination reaction, it is also an exam question. In the exam, when they ask you trans deamination reaction, you should be able to write both transamination reaction and deamination reaction, and you should also write how they are coupled. Physically they are occurring in two different places, but by chemically they are occurring similarly. Okay, whatever is getting transaminated is also getting deaminated in the reactions. Now last type of reaction is transmethylation reaction. The name itself is telling trans is transfer, methylation means methyl group, CH3 group. Okay, the amino acids also undergoes this kind of reaction where they transfer the methyl group, CH3 group, from one amino acid to any other compound to form methylated product. Okay, when you add the methyl group CH3 to a compound, then it becomes a methylated product or methylated compound. So transfer of methyl group from methionine, normally the CH3 group is transported or transferred from methionine only. Okay, most of the transmethylation is from the methionine, and any other compound can be the acceptor. Okay, that is called as transmethylation reaction. So we have seen decarboxylation reaction, transamination reaction, deamination reaction, trans-deamination reaction, and transmethylation. Now, last portion of this amino acid is examples for important derived amino acids, which can be asked in the exam for 3-mark question. They'll ask you what are the examples or biologically important derived amino acids. At least you should be able to write 3 to 4 out of this, like GABA, gamma amino butyric acid, and dopamine. They both are neurotransmitters, means they help in the transfer of the neuronal signals. Okay, neuron signals. Second example, gabapentin. It is analog to the GABA. Analog means look alike. Okay, look similar to the GABA, so it functions same, neurotransmitter. One more compound, histamine. It is a derived amino acid. It is a mediator of most of the allergic reaction. Okay, whenever you have a small insect bite, or even if you are going in some garden and some unknown leaf is there, okay, because of the touch of those leaves also you might start having itching over the area, it becomes red, it becomes swollen. So those all are allergic reaction to that particular external source. So that is mediated by this chemical, that is a amino acid, that is a derived amino acid, histamine. Example, important amino acid is histamine. Then thyroxine. Thyroxine will be knowing as a short form like T3, T4. Okay, that are thyroid hormones. They are again amino acids. Others examples like some are anti-tubercular drug. Okay, you might be heard of many people telling, even Amitabh Bachchan endorse it. Okay, anti-tubercular treatment, TB. Okay, the treatment for TB. One of the drug, that is the cycloserine, is again an important amino acid. Some of the anti-cancer drugs, like for example, azathioprine. Serine is modified. Okay, so azathioprine is a anti-cancer drug. Histidine, which is an important buffer activity of the protein. Okay, and lastly, ornithine and citrulline, they are important for the urea cycle in the body. So these are the few derived amino acid examples which are having biologically important functions. Okay, they are not waste. They have important functions in the body which can be asked as a 3-mark question. Okay, right? Some biologically important derived amino acids. So then you should be able to write at least 3 to 4 examples out of this. You can remember easily GABA, histamine, your thyroid hormones, some of the anti-cancer, anti-tubercular drugs, the histidine and ornithine. Okay, these are the few examples which you can remember easily. Okay, so with this we'll be completing a chapter on amino acids. Next class we'll be dealing with the proteins. Okay, this week exam you will be having this chapter as one of the important, and also last few portion of the cell cycle. Okay, cell biology, what we have learned in that last portion will be there for the exam, plus this that is the chemistry of amino acids, which includes the classification and properties of the amino acids. These things will be important for the coming week Saturday's exam for you. Okay, so with this I'll conclude my today's class. Any clarifications are required, then we can discuss. Otherwise, I'll call for roll numbers.
So can you explain optical property once again, sir?
Yeah, optical property. Okay, normally when you follow the ray of light, that is the polarized light. What do you understand polarized light is? The rays of the light are moving in single direction. Okay, they are moving in a particular single direction, and when these ray of light are traveling across the liquid which contains a particular amino acid, like for example alanine, you can take, either this can rotate the ray of light to the left, or it can rotate the ray of light to the right. Polarized light is actually straight. If it doesn't show any activity, expected is it should move towards straight. Okay, when you see on the screen, it should hit at the center. But what is happening? Because of some property of this amino acid, what is called as chiral carbon atom or the asymmetric carbon atom, when carbon atom or the alpha carbon atom is attached to 4 different compounds. Here amino group, here carboxy group, here hydrogen, here methyl group. So when the carbon is attached to 4 different compounds, it shows the optical activity. It means it has capacity to rotate the ray of light. Either it can rotate to the left, means it will hit on the surface here instead of at this place, or it can rotate the ray of light towards down, like right or left. So instead of straight, instead of at the center, it is hitting at the different surface. Okay, So it will rotate the ray of light. That is the optical activity. It can either rotate to left or it can rotate to the right. But when in case of glycine, the first important characteristics itself is not fulfilled because glycine contains two hydrogen in it. Means it contains two similar compounds. Means it is not a chiral or asymmetric carbon atom. It do not fulfill the asymmetric carbon. So except glycine, all other amino acids show the optical activity. Glycine will not show the optical activity because the the two valencies of the carbon are satisfied the same compound, that is the hydrogen molecule. The glycine, which you know, the most simplest amino acid is, you have seen the structure also. I'll just show you so that it will be easy for you to grasp. Yes, glycine, if you see, the two valencies of the carbon are satisfied by the same compound, that is the hydrogen molecule. So this is not a asymmetric carbon. So asymmetric carbon by definition tells all the four attachments to the carbon are different. They all are different, asymmetric. But here it is symmetric. So except glycine, all other will show the optical activity. Glycine will not show the optical activity. Okay. Only exception for the optical activity among the amino acids is the glycine.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, is it clear? Okay, fine. So I'll just call out the roll numbers. Roll number 1.
Present, sir.
2.
Present, sir.
3.
Present, sir.
4. 4 absent. 5. 6.
5
7.
present, sir.
6 present, sir.
7.
Present, sir.
8.
Present, sir.
9.
Present, sir.
10.
Present, sir.
11.
Present, sir.
12.
Present, sir.
13.
Present, sir.
14.
Present, sir.
15.
Present, sir.
16. 17.
Present, sir.
18.
Present, sir. Present, sir.
Okay, 18.
Present, sir.
19.
Present, sir.
20. 21. 21. 22.
Present, sir.
Present, sir.
Okay, 23.
Present, sir.
24.
Present,
25,
sir.
Present, sir.
26. 27. 28. 29. 30.
Present, sir.
sir.
29 is present.
Present, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
31.
Present, sir.
32.
Present, sir.
33.
Present, sir.
34.
Present, sir.
35.
Present, sir.
36.
Present, sir.
37.
Present, sir.
38.
Present, sir.
39.
Present, sir.
40.
Present, sir.
41.
Present, sir.
42.
Present, sir.
43. 44. 45.
Present, sir.
45.
46 present, sir. 47 present, sir.
48.
48 present, sir.
49.
Present, sir.
50.
Present, sir.
51.
Present, sir.
52.
Present, sir.
53.
Present, sir.
54.
Present, sir.
55.
Present, sir.
Present, sir.
58.
sir.
59.
Present, sir.
60. 61.
Present, sir.
62. 62. 63.
Present, sir.
64. 65.
Present, sir.
66.
Present, sir.
67. 67. 68.
Present, sir.
69. 70.
Present, sir.
71.
Present, sir.
72.
Present, sir.
73. 73. 74. 74. 75.
74 present, sir.
76.
Present, sir.
73 present, sir. Sorry, Mike.
Present, sir. 74.
Okay. 76.
75 present, sir.
Yes. 76.
Present, sir.
77.
Present, sir.
78.
Present, sir.
79.
Present, sir.
80.
Present, sir.
81.
Present,
82.
sir.
83.
Present, sir.
85. 85.
Present, sir. 85
86.
present, sir.
86.
86
87.
87 present, sir.
88.
Present,
89.
sir.
90.
89 present, sir.
91.
Present,
90
sir.
present, sir.
92.
89 present, sir.
Okay.
92 present, sir.
Okay. 93.
Present, sir.
94.
Present, sir.
95. 95. 96.
Present,
96.
sir.
97.
Present, sir. Present, sir.
Okay. 98. 99,
Present, sir.
100, 101,
Present, sir.
102,
Present, sir.
3,
Present, sir.
4,
Present,
5,
sir.
6,
Present, sir. Present, sir.
7, 107,
Present, sir. Present, sir.
okay, 8, 108, 109,
Present, sir.
110,
Present, sir.
11,
Present, sir.
12,
Present, sir.
13, 14,
Present, sir.
15,
Present, sir.
16,
Present, sir.
yes, 117,
Present, sir.
118,
Present, sir.
19, 119 absent, 120,
Present, sir.
121,
Present, sir.
22, 23,
Present, sir.
24, 124 absent,
Present, sir.
124,
Present, sir.
25,
Present, sir.
26,
Present, sir.
27,
Present, sir.
28,
Present, sir.
29,
Present, sir.
30, 31,
Present, sir.
32,
Present, sir.
33,
Present, sir.
34,
Present, sir.
35,
Present, sir.
36,
Present, sir.
37, 137, 38,
Present,
39,
sir.
Present, sir.
yeah, 140,
140 present, sir.
141,
Present, sir.
42, 42,
Present, sir.
43,
Present, sir.
44,
Present, sir.
44 present, sir.
45,
Present, sir.
46,
Present, sir.
47,
Present, sir.
48,
Present, sir.
49,
Present, sir.
150.
Present, sir.
Okay.
137 present, sir.
Yeah, I'll just read out the absent numbers. 4, 27,
Sir,
28.
4 present, sir.
You did not answer the attendance though.
Maybe a mic problem, sir.
Problem. Now how is it working though?
Sir, I said, sir, present, sir.
Okay, fine. 27, 28, 62, 67,
62 present, sir.
62. Who is 62?
Abhinav, sir. 62 present.
Abhinav. Okay. 67. Okay. 95, 108, 119. Okay, fine. So I have 73 is present. Okay. 137 is already present. 74 is already present. 73, 62 is already present. Okay, fine. Yeah. Thank you very much. If any doubts are there, you can let me know. Otherwise, I'll conclude it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.